Existentialism. Okay, I like to touch on existentialism. And again, this is one of those topics that an entire course could be done on existentialism. And I think there probably are entire courses at the university on existentialism and what came out of this movement. I like to bring it up because when we talk about challenges to structuralism and modernism, it's really because of our existential mind, the way we've moved away from thinking in a linear, predestined way. So what in existentialism happened really in the 19th century when philosophers began to really question this idea that someone's life was predestined, that when I was born, everything was set out and I would just follow that series of steps from birth to death. Yeah. And if we looked back in history, there are times where, depending on the situation you were born into, the class you were born into, you were pretty predestined to just have this kind of life. Nowadays, we think very differently, that life is what we make of it, and we can decide where the journey of our life takes us, and we can disrupt our lives and take it in other directions that others haven't chosen for us. So the existentialists didn't think that there was some societal or even godlike force that was taking us to this predestined place, that life is what we made of it. And this was a really radical idea that really changed society, that we could choose our directions and we could choose even what meaning we saw in life, from the signs around us, that we could embrace our own meanings to our own existence and how we looked at the world. That sometimes gets talked about now when people say that, well, reality is what you think and see out there. You're the one that makes sense of it all. So it's not just a universal way of seeing. Now, someone can ask me, which is true, and I can say, well, there are some things that we tend to see in our humanness, I think, in our structural humanness. And then there are other things that we sometimes see very divergently, and we challenge them because we think, well, the world has always seen this way, but we need a radical change. We need the world to see this in another way. That happens a lot with various movements that are happening. And even right now with the social justice movement that is occurring right this instant, people are looking for challenging the ways people see systemic ways that the same thing has always been looked at in the same way. And they're challenging us, look at this way you're seeing it and open your mind and look at what's there. And can we see it differently? Should we see it differently? And these are fascinating things for all of us to kind of deal with and to grapple with. Some people to know, and again, I like to put these major figures just so that you know them and so that you can look deeper in the future. So the roots of existentialism, we can go back to Soren Kierkegaard and Friedrich Nietzsche. And their ideas were really ahead of their time. So I encourage you to read about these philosophers. And another to look at is Jean-Paul Sartre from the 40s and the 50s, who was French and really challenged the way we looked at structuralism and really allowed us to move into this more post-structural world. So that is a kind of fantastic thing. And again, I said Paris is a center for these kinds of philosophical thoughts. And if you happen to be in Paris, I always say there are fantastic places. One of the great places to visit in Paris are some of the graves, some of the cemeteries, because there you can see Isidore Duncan and you can see Loie Fuller. Nijinsky is buried there, and they're all just walking distance from each other. And also you can have you can visit Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone Beauvoir, who was his partner, who was also another philosophical kind of genius in the world.